We are here, you guys. I have a, whew, I have something going on right now. I have to, I'm sorry, y'all. There ain't
Uh,
nobody but the
a
enemy.
lot going on today.
It
A
ain't even,
lot going on today.
but
And if we don't, if today is not saying anything for some
okay.
folk on a panel talking about resilience,
Resilient.
it's most definitely need to be shared today. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We, some of this from where you done been and how you done got to where you are need to be shared. Amen.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
So if you guys could go to your Facebook and share it, technical difficulties. It didn't even come up on my Facebook. It went to my other Facebook.
It's all right. I got it. I'll share it for you.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, but woo, we are good today. I am so excited tonight. Oh my gosh, the guests here tonight, amazing people. I cannot say it enough. They all have played a major part in my life, and whew, when you guys, they're going to share with you who they are, what they represent, and why they accepted this invite today. So we can start with Mr. Amy, Pastor Amy.
Hello, I'm Tim Amy. I pastor the Second Bethel Church in Oakland. Been pastoring there now for 3 years. Um, Born in East Oakland, raised in East Oakland, lived in Richmond for many years, graduated from Richmond High School back in '93. Um, not too much with me. I've known Jamila for a while, probably almost 30 years, I guess. 20 something. I used to kick it tough with her older brother on the block
So
back in our heyday. And I don't know, Jamila probably was about what, barely even 10 years old or something back then when I met you. So it's been a while.
it's been a long time.
And I accepted the invitation because she asked me, plain and simple.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting
Pleasure, my pleasure.
the radical one.
Oh, wow. So hey everybody, I'm Dion, and people tend to call me the radical one. A little extreme from time to time. I just absolutely love the Lord, love people. Met Jamila at Fresh Start with Pastor Shamar Lewis. In one of the most trying times in my life, she got to watch personified the idea and or concept of resilience, real talk. And we became fast sisters. She is an amazing, amazing person. She is a blessing to be connected to, and I'm just honored to be here. Like I'm the little one of the bunch, but I think I'll be all right.
I
Thank
know
you.
you'll be all right.
Pastor Evans, Trucky Truck.
Uh, I've been knowing Jamila. I don't know how long, but I just know she was preteen because I met her sisters when they was teenagers. Uh, and it's funny that we here today, the way that we are in the ways that we are, because I used to have Jamila riding around Oakland with me in my Cadillac on gold ones and hitting the strip, stopping at Mills Hoagie and all those different good things, right?
Yeah.
And I've been her hood big brother for a very long time, and we know each other fairly well. She spent many a nights at my house with my mama and my cousin Antoinette. So she's like a sister, if I could just say that. Um, and I couldn't say I mean there was no other answer but yes to join in tonight and be on this panel and share, my portion, my piece of how God has been working in my life.
Okay. Amen. Amen. Pastor Shamar.
What's up to everybody? My name is Shamar Lewis. I am the senior pastor of Fresh Start Church here in the city of Vallejo. Born and raised in Richmond. I always got to do it. Yay!
Excuse me, sorry.
You all right? Hey, listen, I know I got one with me. We got a lot of Oakland on here. But listen, you all right? But listen, Jamila, wow, I remember her, what I always call pre-Grace days. I mean, we go way back to when I was working in Hilltop Mall and we had mutual relationships, and she working at Foot Locker, and I'm trying to get the jug on the Jordans before they come out and everything. And then just matriculate to years later, having her be a part of Fresh Start, helping to get that off the ground. And then now to see her just continue to grow. See so much of the planning and things I've seen her talk about come to fruition. Jamila, I feel like this is a part of what I've seen you move from just talking to now the execution phase. And so I'm excited to be part of both. And I count it an honor and blessing to be on here with everybody else. Really, I'm on here just based upon relationship with you, and that you asked me. I believe in what you're doing. I see your passion, not just inside the church, but outside of the four walls. And so I'm just glad to be here and be a part of it.
Thank you. I'm glad you accepted my invite. I really am. Good to have you. Smoke.
What's up, everybody? I am Darnell Hammock, or Smoke for some people who know me. Senior pastor of New Life Community Church in Oakland. Grew up in the town. I've been knowing Jamila forever. It's crazy. My father and her father, they knew each other from way back in the days. And then, of course, growing up, me knowing her sister, of course, her sister family affair. When she asked if I would do it, come on. Of course, I did it out of relationship, but also I think the conversation is important, right? We talk about trauma and resilience, surviving and thriving, because in all of our lives, we experience some kind of trauma. And we also experience an opportunity for us to be resilient. I believe that we're more resilient than we actually give ourselves credit for. So again, thank you for the invite. I'm looking forward to the conversation. And what's up to all the other panelists and hosts that are on? It's just amazing to see just the connections of, all of it.
Yeah. This is good. This is great. So I'm serious about these conversations because they're not had enough. We need to have more conversations around trauma. People don't want to address it. They're afraid to talk about it. I wanted you all guys on here because we've all experienced things. We all have. Everybody here at different times of my life, everything, just knowing you all. I know we've experienced things that we've come out of, and yet trauma is still ongoing. So, we're still trying to get out of it.
Yeah, if anybody has Facebook open, just make sure to close it. You won't get that.
So ACEs. Do you guys know what ACEs is? No? Okay. So this one I'm talking about. Every conversation about ACEs. ACEs it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. Kaiser did a study between 1995 and 1997 when they did research on 17,000 of their HMO members, and they tracked their health outcomes to adverse childhood experiences. So if you, with your ACEs, you are just as likely to have a heart attack or heart disease because of an ACEs. So there are 10 indicators, and it is child abuse, child physical abuse, child emotional abuse, child neglect, having someone in the household who is mentally ill or depressed, abandonment of a parent due to death, divorce, or separation, witnessing domestic violence. So we are going to do an ACEs questionnaire. Everybody that's watching, we are all doing this ACEs questionnaire, and we're going to find out what our ACE score is. You don't have to reveal it. You don't have to share it with anybody. You can if you want to, but you don't have to share it here online at all. So I'm going to present 10 questions. And every time you say yes to one of those questions, that's an indicator. That's a point. That's an ACE. Okay? So I'll give y'all some time. Grab a pen or however you want to record it. You just want to sit and listen and look at the question. Just count on your fingers. Just keep track of it. So the first question. Did a parent or other adult in the household often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or why are you laughing, or humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? So, no, yes or no. Oh, and this is between the 18 years, the first 18 years of your life. The second question is, did a parent or other adult in the household often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that you had marks or you were injured? The third one is, did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have touched their body in a sexual way, or try or actually have oral, anal, or vaginal sex with you? This stuff gets deep, y'all. Did you often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, or support each other? Did you often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, and had no one to protect you? It also had something in here about like dirty clothes or just not having enough clothes, or parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it. Were your parents ever separated or divorced, or did one of your parents leave or lose their life? Was your mother, dad, or stepmother, stepdad often pushed, grabbed, or had something thrown at them, or kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard, or repeatedly hit over and over, or also like threatened with a gun or something? This is just stuff we witnessed. Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic, or who used street drugs? Street drugs. Was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? Did a household member go to prison? Hopefully I wasn't going too fast, but so these are the consequences of ACEs. A person who has had 4 or more ACEs is 2.5 times likely to smoke. A person, let me get this together. Sorry, y'all. A person with 4 or more ACEs is 7.5 times likely to depend on alcohol. And a person who has had 4 or more ACEs are 10 times as likely to use intravenous drugs. So then we talk about resilience, right? So when you guys hear the word resilience, what comes to mind? We can do this popcorn, however, what comes to mind? You guys in the comments, you guys, the viewers that are watching, you could chime in too. To you, when you hear the word resilience, what does it What comes to mind for you?
A couple of things come to mind for me is, swim, not sink, bounce back, um, just able to withstand whatever is coming your way. Another word I would come up with would bend but not break. And so there's things that we may have gone through that may have caused us to bend, but we didn't break. And I think when we talk about resilience, oftentimes people think that doesn't mean that people often think that means that you don't fall down. But I think the opposite. It means you fall down, but you get back up. And so that's what comes to mind to me immediately when I think about resilience.
I agree. Everything you just said. Anybody else? Anything come to one of you guys' mind? No, he probably said it all. That's it.
I think of being
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Pastor Tim.
After you.
Sure. So I'm a visual person. So I think about a actual spring being kind of pressed down with great force, of course, into an unnatural position, right? And then suddenly snapping back into its natural state. And I would say for us as human beings, right? I'm not sure if it's even fair to us to even say that we just bounce back suddenly, but we actually bounce back sometimes eventually.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's that spring being pressed down in an unnatural state, and then at some point bouncing back to its natural state. And I think it's important for us to even bring this up tonight, how, especially on tonight, how as Black people, considering all that we have went through, and even in the midst of Breonna Taylor and her killers not being held accountable, Black people have been resilient, right? We get knocked down over and over again, but as Pastor Lewis said, we get back up and we find a way to keep on swimming.
It's true. It's true.
And one thing that comes to my mind is being an overcomer. Being able to, when you're resilient, you're able to overcome these adversities. And I believe that's one of the reasons why you called us all here today, because in some shape, form, or fashion, you've been able to witness the resilience, the overcoming from each and every one of us through the relationship that we all have with you, and something piqued your interest. But we can successfully say and boldly say we've overcome the adversities that we've had to endure.
Oh.
Truck is moving.
I don't know how I keep going on mute. But for myself, I'm a sports junkie, right? And resilience for me is like going down in the first quarter, and you have to make up in your mind if you lost in the first quarter the whole entire game, or you just having a tough quarter, right? Because you still have a whole bunch of game left. You have a second quarter, you have a halftime where you can make adjustments, and that's just how I try to see my life based on my experiences. I've been tried, but as long as I got breath in my body, I still got time on the clock.
Okay.
Right? As long as I got time on the clock, I got time to play. That's how I've always been able to see it. We was just talking about the struggle yesterday, and I told one of my friends, if you ain't never had to eat chicken backs, you don't know what a struggle is. Like we ate chicken backs, but I have the choice to eat the chicken that I choose to now. Why? Because when times was tough, they taught me how to be able not to put myself in certain situations, right? And I refuse to go back. So I learned from the first quarter, like Smoke said, man, it don't necessarily happen right away, but over time, man, you just learn these things. If you're looking to learn, that's the thing. You have to want to win. If you want to experience this, you have to want to win. So that's just how I see it. As long as I got time on the clock, it's always time to change.
That's true. And then we learn how not to, because we've been in a situation and then we don't want to be in that situation again, but then we could end up back in that situation, but then we know how to get out of it, right? And that's the piece. You gotta get through it. You gotta keep going. Like, you gotta keep bouncing back. Like, I've seen, I thank God for all my struggles, for everyone that I have experienced. Like, man, struggle equals success. Like, you could struggle, you're gonna get through it. I see people who can go through things, and I'll be like, what? Like, you tripping? Like, you could get out of that. That's nothing,
But Jamila, one of the things that come to mind for me, and I won't share Dion's story, but you mentioned about oftentimes when you go through something again, you like, I could do it again. But I also want to challenge us on sometimes when you got to go through that same thing again, you even need more resilience, because you start thinking about the place you was in and what you had to go through to get out of there, and wondering, can I do it again? Watch this, and still be sane.
That's true.
Right? And so I bring up Dion again. Dion, I'm not going to share your story, but
she is.
I know her. I think about her because when I came across Dion and with Josiah, it was like, good news, and then there were times where it was bad news, and then it was good, and then it was like back, and it was like this back and forth. And for me, that is an example, probably amongst all the rest of us, where we've had to go through something again and again. And yes, you went through it. Yes, you came out, but now you need time too, because you knew what it took for you to come through that first time.
Hey, I'm gonna let her talk. Let me just say something real fast, okay? Because I love this lady. I get emotional. So, Dion, I remember I met Dion at Fresh Start, okay? I'm going to just put this layout right here. This is how God works. So, I knew Tim from my younger days, young. Like, I wasn't even a teenager. I was like 8, 9 years old. I met Smoke not Smoke. I've always known Smoke. Always known Smoke. But Truck, when I lived in West Oakland, and that was my preteen years. And then I knew Smoke. I knew Smoke all through high school and everything. His sister, I played sports and everything. Steph was a cheerleader. I went to Emory High School, but I don't know. I was always somewhere OAL because I was a hooper, and all the coaches used to try to recruit me and stuff. So yeah, so that's what it was. And then, oh man, so then I went to Ephesians. So at Tim Church, Tim was a member at Ephesians. His grandfather, John Henry, was the founder of Ephesians Missionary Baptist Church. And I remember going to church with them when I was younger, when I lived in East Oakland. I remember that. And then I ended up returning back to that church, which was crazy.
Years later.
Because my little brother went there, and I went to see him get baptized. And I was a member. Look, this y'all. I was a member at my church was Actual Gospel. Okay. After Ephesians, I went to New Life. Okay, I went to Smoke Church. I joined Smoke Church. Okay. At Smoke Church, Pastor Shamar was there, and Pastor Shamar was preaching. And I was looking at him, and I'm talking about that day. I didn't join that day. I almost joined that day. So Shamar was preaching. I was like, who is this young man? Like, right? So then later on, I'm like, he looked familiar. Like, I know him from somewhere. And I'm in my 20s. I'm in my late 20s. And then we ended up, I'm like, Shamar, like, he was young when I was working at Foot Locker. I was 19, 20 years old when I was working at Foot Locker. And he's younger than me. And then coming out here, and I was living in Vallejo, finding out that he had a church out here and everything. I was traveling back and forth to Oakland. I love Smoke. I love him. I still be on the Facebook Lives and everything. Then I end up at Shamar's church, joined Shamar's church. And I end up almost running Dion over in the parking lot. I almost hit her in the parking lot. And I remember that. And then I remember hearing this woman speak. Oh my God, I don't know where Truck went. This lady right here is so amazing, so amazing, so amazing. The spirit in her, oh my God. Going to the Bible studies at Fresh Start, the prayer. And I remember walking in there, sitting down, and God was like, move over. And he was telling me to sit by Dion. And I sat by Dion. And Dion was in there and she was praying and she was like, Lord, somebody in here, she's holding my hand. She's just holding it. With, I think it was like abandonment issues. And I was like, oh, and I'm listening to her. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We could talk about that later. But this woman right here has a story. It is amazing. And talking about resilience, this lady right here, Dion, when you hear the word resilience, what comes to mind?
So Truck probably started where I would start. The last maybe 7 years have been the most proving years, I believe, of my life. And I think about, I'm not a huge sports fan, so y'all don't talk about me real crazy because I can't put it all together. But I remember in the times that I would watch in the interim, I remember seeing the running back, I would suppose it is, carrying the ball, losing the ball. But then I saw him recover it and make the touchdown. Right? And there, I mean, and I'm talking about in a crucial moment, right? Where there was pressure and it was the fourth quarter and the time on the clock was limited and it was low and he only had a short period of time to get the job done. And so when I think about resilience, because the reality is people only knew a fraction of what I was dealing with. But I thank God I have a video and I'm gonna send it to you, Pastor Shamar, that I made during the time that we were at Fresh Start and I would bring my baby to church right after chemo. And I would put a pillow on the ground and he would lay on that pillow, and that pillow and him sleeping on the ground. My baby at that point was probably like 80 something pounds. And Lady Vanika took a picture of him. You remember that picture?
Yeah.
And it said a walking miracle. There were so many very poignant moments in that time. But Fresh Start, in that moment, I needed a fresh start. It was wins for me. Our worship was wins for me. Our worship together, our chemistry was amazing. And you guys didn't know how much I just needed to worship. And so for me, I think when I think even about the football player, and I could only imagine in his mind him dropping the ball, knowing that the game is on him. See, because at my house, the game was on me, right? It was just me and my 3 boys, and one struggling with mental illness, and one struggling with cancer, and another struggling with addiction. And every single day I kept saying, I got to recover this ball. I got to get to the finish line. I got to get to the touchdown. I got to get to the end zone. I don't know what it's going to take, but whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. Just what I did. So that's what I think of, recovering the ball in the 9th hour when the game is all on me.
What you about to say, Truck? What you about to say, Truck?
Hey, I hear her use the analogy of the running back, right? But all I can see was she was quarterbacking. See, the whole game, the whole team on the defense and the offense only go as far as the quarterback. Sis, hey, I want to see that video too. So, Pastor, when she send it to you, make sure I can watch that. You see my pom-poms? I just got my pom-poms out. Yes, indeed. Jesus Christ.
Okay, here we go. Talking about survive and thrive through resilience. So, got some questions for each and every last one of y'all. So, I'm not rushing. I'm really not. So, I'll try not to keep y'all long at all. I just love these conversations. I love them. So, I want to know, each one of y'all, start from Tim. Are you the only sibling or not? And if you're not, where do you place in your with your siblings?
I am the oldest of three. I have two younger sisters, and we're very close, very, very close. As a matter of fact, they traveled with me for my birthday this past weekend. But yeah, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
I have two baby sisters, and I'm the only boy. And the new boy is I got a brother-in-law and my nephew who is 2. We're the only males, and I got my wife, and it's all in women. But it's amazing though. I love them all to death.
Okay, that's good. That's cool. Thea, are you the only sibling?
No, I'm the eldest of 3. I am 11 years my brother's senior. I am 18 years my sister's senior. So they are more like my children than they are my siblings.
So they all
Very different relationship.
All girls. You said
No. I have a brother and a sister. My brother 11 years, my sister 18.
Okay, but you're the oldest. Okay, you're the oldest. Okay, Truck.
Oh, I'm the middle child.
You're the middle child.
Interesting.
Yeah, wow. I'm the wild one though. Like me and my brothers is so different. You have one who was in more trouble than me, and I probably should have been in all of the trouble he was in. And then you have the younger one who was just extremely quiet. But I'm the wild one. We most definitely 3 different people. And I can honestly say, and I'm gonna say this because I don't know who may be dealing with this, but me and my brothers, before my mother passed, we weren't the tightest, right? Like, I think we was all fighting for something we didn't have to fight for, and that was placement with her. So we had to learn how to get along after she passed, right? And our relationships are really growing. You know, we're all 3 of us in some really good places with one another. Although we share the same blood, that don't have nothing to do with our personalities, right? And we had to learn, and as men, you know. So now you're dealing with ego, pride, and all that. So we really been figuring this thing out, and I can honestly say my brothers have become my best friends.
That's good. Yeah. That's great. That's good. Pastor Lewis.
Yes, I am the only child, so I feel so out of the loop here because everybody can introduce their siblings. I did pray and ask my mama, please give me one, but she's like, no, you was enough. I am the only kid, but you know, to my surprise, a few years ago, I did find out on my dad's side, I do have a sister and a brother, and so they're older than me, and so that was new to me.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Smoke.
So technically, I'm the middle child. However, I do have an older sister. We have different mothers. But inside of my home growing up, I was pretty much the oldest child. It was me and my younger sister growing up in the same house. And my older sister who lived with her mother, growing up. So.
Well, I was wondering, I was asking that. Y'all know, I love thinking. I love researching, and I try to identify certain things like you said, you were the only child in the household. That's really what I should have asked, like in the household. Because one of the questions also is, the people we hung out with and everything. Because I'm the baby girl. I have 2 older brothers and 2 sisters, but I'm the baby girl, and I have a little brother. We just 1 year and 1 day apart. But I be feeling like the middle child sometimes, being a baby girl. But because I see. If we could really talk about the kind of groups we hung out in, because I look at Shamar, right? You're the only child, right?
Yeah.
You know, so you want, there's 5 needs of a child, right? It's the need to feel important, included, accepted, respected, and secure. Okay, so to feel included and to be accepted, a lot of people just from my observation, like when people join gangs and stuff like that, it's like as if they possibly was like the only child or was like the oldest brother, but but that's who they decided. They wanted to feel accepted and included. What y'all think about that?
Well, from my perspective, I'm a little different because growing up with me and my mom and dad, my dad passed when I was 13. And a couple of years later, my mom remarried, so I had my stepfather. So we had a great upbringing. My mom was the one who, number one, if me and my sisters didn't get along, we couldn't go play with nobody else anyway. So, so we've been tight knit since forever, and that was something that my mom really focused on. Wanted us to be able to have each other's back, even till this day. It's the same way. A lot of the circles that I chose later on in life was just me choosing to be stupid, if I could be honest, and I did those things. I was having fun, and it had nothing to do with my upbringing. It just had me making decisions. I'm just gonna do this because this is what I feel like doing right now. Like you said, my grandfather founded the church. He pastored in Oakland for 40 years. We've always gone to church, but while we were going to church, I did a whole lot of other stuff outside the church at the same time. So a lot of my issues were personal choices that I made. I can say that my upbringing, my household, my family life was absolutely fabulous. We had a great time. We would, play games together, board games and all kinds of stuff. My mom would do homework with us all the time. We'd make sure she used to call us intelligent hoodlums because no matter what, we had to keep them grades in school right. But, some of the things we did was just dumb choices.
Go on, Truck.
I've never seen a man in my house, right? I was raised by my mother. I don't know what that looked like, and I think that had a lot to do with. Let me just say this. Let me back up. The whole wanting to be accepted thing, right? I was being taught by my mother to be a leader from out the gate, right? Like I've never done anything to be accepted. I was probably one of the most pushed back kind of dudes in the hood. Like I didn't embrace the big homie. I didn't embrace the OG because of what he had and what he could have given me. I even had one of the big wigs in the hood. I remember going to him and asking him, like, man, why you want to put me on like everybody else, right? And these was his words. He was like, you're hard-headed. I can't get you to listen the way I can make everybody else listen. And I said to him, I said, oh, that's cool. I'll go get mine from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But not knowing that was some leader stuff my mother had been putting in me to never fall victim like that, right? So I've never really been the one to be accepted. I've always kind of created my own atmosphere. But I believe not having a male presence to kind of like guide me and teach me. And I'm kind of glad my father wasn't around because, he was a musician. He used drugs, and I really wanted to be like my father, right? So the stuff I would hear about him, I would try to mimic. Like I wanted to be in the band and in school. So I don't know if it was a good thing for him not to be around, and I kind of had to fill this thing out on my own because I don't know how I would have turned out, right? But my mother my mother put some stuff in me to always remind me of stuff. And it was more fear than anything, right? Like I was more afraid of my mother than the police. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, I never really tried to fit in. Like if I was going to be a part, that was solely a choice that I made. I brought the crowd, and I can say that now because I'm removed from all of that, right? Like Jamila, Smoke, you didn't see me in my time in my day. I would come to the club with 30 and 40 people, and we'll all get in free. because they didn't want no smoke. You know what I'm saying? I would literally come up with that amount of no one. I mean, because that's what I did. So I never really played from wanting to be accepted, because I think that's because although it was stretched a lot because my mother had all my cousins and stuff living with us, but I had this love that I knew I had for sure. Like I knew I had this woman who loved me regardless, and I think that kind of helped me to kind of not fall into that trap of wanting to be accepted.
That's good, and that is because I used to go to the club. I remember being able to get into a club. Bruce in Oakland. You remember that? Smoke. You remember Bruce? Is that what it was? Bruce? Was it Bruce? What's the
downtown Oakland?
It was.
Yes.
I remember Bruce.
I went in there.
J-Love.
I remember being able to get to the oak tree.
That smoke with the gold teeth right there. You talking
Black Friday, Saturday, whatever. Black.
So when we talk about so like sports and stuff, like what kind of groups were you in that you were included, just accepted? I'm just saying, like what kind of groups? Pastor Lewis, come on now.
No, I mean, I echo what Truck says. I'm born, raised by my mother, and my mother always raised me with, be a leader. I will say she raised me with a sense of like respect and honor, but also be careful of trusting too quickly. And so when I did go out the doors, I didn't feel like I did anything so much because I was trying to fit in. If I'll be honest with you, I felt like the crowd I ran with, we both had things in common. And so we both played off each other. They wasn't trying to make me do anything that I didn't want to, and vice versa. I think that's just a stage where I was at in my life. And even to this day, with those same guys, it was 5 of us. And them 5, on one hand on Sunday, I'll be coming in playing the drums, and the next and Monday through Saturday, we tearing it up doing a fool. And I say that to say, I didn't really feel like I did it so much to be included, but I felt like based upon the space I was in, I'll be honest with you, I was confused. Did I want to be, this dope dealer, or did I want to be this church guy? I just was confused. I mean, a mother working 2 jobs, and one of the things that my mom would often do, I felt like she gave me a healthy balance. So on one hand, I was going to church, I was around people in church, but then also I was around some real solid dudes that was in the street that wasn't so much trying to pull me one way or the other, but was trying to really just say, look, I've driven this, I slept with her, but if I can do it all over again, man, I probably would make different choices. And so I say that to say, I like Truck, I was like that leader. And so I felt like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to lead the way. Or look, I felt like I was the smartest one with the plan where we don't get caught.
So I wonder, maybe I should so when I say accepted and everything, like being able to just be you, do you, not judging other people, you accept it for just who you are. Even as now, like I think about sermons that you preach, Pastor Mar, where you could say if you was around a certain group or something like that, they accept you. They know, like
they did. I'll say this. In that stage, it took me time to get there because I didn't realize who I was, right? Until years down the road, where now you hear throughout my sermons, I'm like, they accept me. They accept me not because I was ever trying to fit in, but I'm at a different stage at my life when I realize my identity and my purpose in life. And so what allows me to still kind of what I call still have a respect from them is a standpoint of, look, I'm pastor. I'm not my title. At the end of the day, I am Shamar Lewis.
Right.
So regardless whether I'm a pastor or not, I'm still a Christ follower. I'm a disciple. So even if I didn't have this title, my goal is to still walk this walk. However, I still realize everybody not there yet. Until you get there, we still rocking. I'm still praying for you. I'm still loving on you. You can still drive by my house, and I won't put no names out there, but I have a couple of friends where they know I'm not going to hear from them every day, but they know if anything go down, they need a solid ear and just conversation, regardless of what they smell like, where they been at, like pull up, let's holler.
See, this is it. That's what I love about all of them. Just, man, we could be who we are, and people do it. I mean, we accept each other, we accept people, you know, not so much being so quick to judge people. It'd be a trip hearing people, you know, talking to on the phone and they curse and they like, I'm sorry, Jamila, I'm sorry. I'm like it's a trip, you know. We all growing. Yeah. Anyway, so Pastor Smoke. Pastor Smoke was a track star, y'all.
He can't get away from the nickname Smoke. Yeah, I think for a minute people really thought that was his real name, like Pastor Smoke.
For real. I mean, I have people who I actually grew up with from birth or whatever you want to call it, who some of them don't even know my real name. Well, they know it now, but didn't know it growing up because everybody called me Smoke. Anyways, I'm thinking about your question, Jamila, because I'm thinking about my life, how I grew up, you know, middle-class family, mom and dad in the house. Everything was good. I didn't want for anything. Everything was good. My grandparents lived directly across the street from me. So I always had my grandfather and my grandmother in my life. Then, of course, several uncles who, of course, poured into me. But it was something about the street life that was kind of sexy for me. It was kind of attractive, right? And so let me just say, for me, I was a wannabe. I was a perpetrator, is what we used to call back in the days, right? Perpetrator, wannabe, but squares all outdoors, right? Square with hood ties. You know what I mean? Square with hood ties. And it was the, I guess, I would say 3 groups that I kind of just fit in with, of course, which were people who were right there on my block, in my neighborhood. We were like family, all grew up together, right? Then, of course, when I wasn't at home in my neighborhood, I had people at Bush Ride where I spent most of my time if I wasn't on my block on 63rd Street. I was on 59th Street at Bush Ride. They accepted me. And then, of course, I played sports my entire life. So those were the 3 groups that I kind of hung around. And I don't know if it was much about acceptance, but I think it would have a lot to do with exploration and discovery. I was curious. I was curious. I mean, these dudes got money. When I see my dad work every day, we ain't starving, we ain't struggling, nothing. But these dudes, they got something shinier than my dad got. Yeah, they seem real popular, all this other stuff. So I was really trying to play the best of both worlds. And there were some good things and some bad things that happened with that. Actually, it's actually how I met Truck. How I met Truck. So I met Truck in high school. We didn't know each other, but I was hanging around my folks from Bush Ride, North Oakland. I'm gonna tell the story, Truck. I'm gonna tell the story. So I'm hanging around my boys from Bush Ride, other folks in North Oakland. It's lunch at Tech, and at that time, stuff was going on between North Oakland, West Oakland. Here come these dudes from West Oakland, Truck in the middle, and here come Truck. All y'all from North Oakland? And then they just got off on us, y'all. That's how I was first introduced to Truck. I remember. It was crazy. I told Truck this when he was cutting my hair. I think it's like the first or second time I got my hair cut by Truck. He's like, man, dang, I remember that too. But anyways, again, being involved in stuff I didn't have no business being involved with anyway, coming from the type of home that I came from. I didn't have no business doing any of the things that I did. But again, exploration, then of course, it brought discovery of who I am now.
When I claim West Oak when I say the bottoms, because that's where I learned so much stuff, like surviving, just everything. Like I was a super tomboy. I played basketball. I was just known for playing basketball. So I'm gonna compete against any male. I'm playing you. Like, I don't care. I don't want to play no girls. You don't want none of this. You don't want none of this. No. So, in the bottoms, man, just the drug dealers. It was they really looked out for me. They looked out for me. Like, they was doing what they needed to survive, but they looked out for me so much. And Truck was a super big brother. Just man, anytime I needed anything, yeah, Truck had the clean Cadillac, we're riding around. Ain't nobody don't pass me out. But protecting me, God be all in it, y'all. Don't he be all in it though? Just protecting you. So the drug dealers I'm talking about showing up to my high school graduation, they was there. They wanted to see me get out of the bottoms. They wanted to see me go. Like, girl, get up out of here. Get out the hood.
Jamila, I think Pastor Hammock, you kind of brought something to my attention because you said something that I think sometimes people miss. You had your father in a home. You admitted, like, look, we didn't want for anything, but for some reason, the guys outside just had something that looked shinier. And the question that came from me was, what made me or desire for me to have what they have when I knew the reason why my mom was struggling with drugs was because they were selling it to her. Right? Because when people don't, the first half of my life, my mom was substance abuse, right? And so my grandmother played a huge part in making sure that at least I had that foundation in Christ. But I do remember, I remember those times where my grandmother getting up, having to go to the apartments in Richmond, San Pablo to get the car back, or my Power Wheel. Till this day, I still remember my Power Wheel being sold. Just certain things. Yeah. But for some reason, I still desired to have what they have, even though I seen what it was doing to my mother. It just brought something to me when you said that.
Yeah.
Heavy. Yeah, that's heavy.
And go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No, Dion, come on.
No, so for me, mine was a little bit different. I wasn't telling. Look, Jamila just a special. Anyway, mine was a little bit different in that I was kind of a pillar to post kid. So I was shaped by many hands. I had a village. My grandmother was my anchor. My mother, while present, it was always sporadic and or interrupted. And so while I have the side, and that's till I die, right? Richmond down. But the reality is
city
down. I was an entrepreneur from probably the time I was about 9 years old. I never really did a bunch of crowds. In my mind, to alleviate or avoid the pillar to post exposure that I had, I wanted to get money. So I started getting bags real young. I started investing at 18. I started spending time with older people. I was a church girl. I went to Kennedy. I was president of my class here, but I would go back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast. So I graduated high school early. I had a very driven mentality. So all my friends were the popular girls. Right, when I should have been like the hood girl. I didn't sell dope. I slung hair. I did as much hair as I could. I started doing hair at 14, 15 years old. By the time I was 20 years old, I owned my own business, and I would work from Kansas to Kansas. That's what kept me out the streets. Right, I was scared of Jesus. It didn't have anything to do, like, for real. I grew up in old school church where they tell you going to die and go to hell, but everything. You can't use too much tissue, you going to hell. If you brush your teeth too long, you going to hell, right? And so I was as square as I wasn't. I paid attention. I was always the youngest chick like everywhere. I was always the baby. My best friend today is 13 years my senior. I got my own personal Naomi. And there was a wisdom that I got from spending time with my grandmother and being around. She did hair in the garage. So all I saw was my grandmother get money. My grandmother paid cash for everything. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. Right. So,
Right.
but the issue was money became my friend. That's a dangerous location. You feel me? Money became like my everything, right? It became my God. It became my force. And so, you know, when you don't hang out with folks, and because I didn't want to depend on nobody, I didn't want to be disappointed. I didn't want to be, you know, I could pay for whatever I wanted to pay for, right? Because money affords you things that some stuff doesn't. So yeah, I wasn't with the gangs or hanging out with the girls. I didn't want to be like none of y'all. I want to get this bread and get out your way because I don't feel like you hurt my feelings or playing with me. I'm gonna get this money and go on over there and watch you because I don't trust you. Yee.
Hey, that's why I love you.
Love
That's
it.
why I love you. My hustle, truck allowed me to come into that barbershop. Mike was the owner at the time. Rest in peace. Mike was the owner. But 14 years old, I was twisting hair. I was starting locks. I was braiding hair. That was my hustle. Like, that's how I got my money. Like, I didn't want to depend on anybody for anything. I did not. And Truck allowed that. Thank you so much, Truck. Yeah.
Truck, you get your flowers on here today, man. Man, I see your face. Your face is like, y'all, I don't even remember some of this.
I remember his hair.
Hey, Pastor Shamar, I remember for a while Jamila used to be mad at me, right? Because I would be on her about her company, right? Like, you don't need to be around there. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be. And I didn't know that there would be a Jamila that's pushing for a healthier place and space, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically for children. I was just like, boo, you got way too much to offer to be, and she couldn't see it. My friends were saying I was hating. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, he just hating on us, and I never wavered from that. I always told her the same thing. And over time, we as we grew up, we started to talk about that, right? And it's just amazing just to see where you are, all of the stuff I see you doing. So I mean, like, as you say that about me, I don't know how to, I didn't know what I was doing, right? And oftentimes at that age, like when Smoke just said it, man, we just be out there. But I'm glad to hear as I'm listening, even in my foolishness, I wasn't a selfish person to where I was trying to get you to be a part of what it was I was doing. Whenever I had you with me, I was trying to show you something different. And I'm just glad to see the person that you are. Taking no credit for it, but it's just beautiful to see. I didn't have no parts in some foolishness that could have happened in your life.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. You was a big brother. You was a protector. Truck was. Yep. So we talked about the structure of the family, which is important, you know, nuclear family, extended family. I come from a extended family, single nuclear family, single parent home, all kind of stuff. We all adapt from it. We all adapt. So I know time is running out. I just want to know what inspired you all to go the way that you have gone. Who inspired you? Like, who inspired you? What touched you, you know, to go the way that you are now? Pastors, radical one.
Well, I'm going to start, man. When my mother passed, there was I was really lost, right? Like my mother, up until when she broke her hip, where her hip was broken from the cancer that spread it into her bones. My mother was still coming to my apartment, making my food for 3 and 4 days and washing all my clothes and making sure everything was fine. Had a key and everything. So my mother was really like my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh-oh.
Gene said, you went out and then.
can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Okay, my phone be just ringing. That's why I was trying to get on my computer.
Oh.
But yeah, she was like my girlfriend, you know? So I didn't need nobody. And I think that's like when my mom passed, it was like the most scariest time in my life. It was the most hurtful, but it was scary because I had nothing real no more. Right? So I had to trust in these two people that I really didn't know. My pastor and God. Right? I ain't had no other choice. I ain't had nowhere to turn. So I had to try these two people that I didn't know. Right? And my mother was planting seeds the whole time. Like the work I do right now is everything what I saw growing up. How I handle people, how I deal with people, the stuff I try to do in the community. My mother planted those seeds, right? So I didn't know no Jesus before then. I met Jesus through this whole situation. It was as if he, you know, he called in. We're about to hit the start button. You know what I'm saying? And put my pastor into place, and then my pastor just been watering the seeds that was planted. Everything my mother put in me, he started to introduce me to the real me, right? The way God intended for me to be. And it was a struggle because, like Smoke said, no one knew Darnell. Nobody knew DeMaurier. People still don't. I have an obituary that was just sent to me that says Pastor Truck on it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't even use DeMaurier. It says Pastor Truck that I had to get ready to do, right? But not only people didn't know him, I didn't know him, right? All I knew was Truck. I created this monster in Truck, and I didn't even want to know DeMaurier. I wanted to just live out Truck because it was fly, it was fast, it was fun, and it was full. That's the best word I can use for the last one. But I didn't want to know DeMaurier. And when I hooked up with Jesus and he gave me my pastor as my coach, he started to teach me the two. Right? So Truck and DeMaurier had to learn how to get along.
Okay.
Once they started to engage and interact with one another, then I started wanting to hang out with DeMaurier. And I started to see as I was going in, the crowd tapering off. Before you know it, I was all by myself. You know, and then a lot of my friends, and when we talking about that, making that adjustment, Shamar, like how you say your dudes respect you. A lot of my friends like, oh man, he finna go into church and he gonna treat it like the club. He finna go in there. Oh, he a deacon now? Oh yeah, he finna go in there and tear that church down. And I mean, like those were the conversations that was, and then they like, oh, he a preacher now. Oh, he can do funerals. Oh, he can visit the hospital. And it all changed. It went from he's about to go in there and mess up everything to my friends now, Smoke, like you were saying, I mean, Shamar, like you were saying, they learn to respect you. My friends say, man, when you get in trouble, bro, you done squared up so much, you can call the police. You know, so it was my mother, the situation with my mother, because I would have died after that. I was on my way. I was asking God to literally kill me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, please take me away. I can't live without this woman. And God is so unselfish, y'all, that when I was asking him to kill me because I didn't know him and I couldn't recognize his voice, he didn't try to talk to me. He allowed my mother to speak to me in a dream and said, no, you wait. Put in the clothes I knew she was in, the black sweatpants, the blue little gown thing she wore with the blonde little Jerry curl or whatever. And it was like, please wait. No, you wait. No, you can't die. And that's the kind of God we serve. He's an unselfish God. He ain't ego tripping. He ain't no pride hype. He allowed someone's voice I can hear to tell me, no, you have a whole bunch of life to live. And that's why I'm here today. Because I listened, I tried it. That don't mean I ain't ran out of bounds. That don't mean I didn't fumble. That don't mean I missed my assignment. but God can still use you through all of that.
Yeah.
And that's what he done. That's what he done for me.
Okay.
That's how I done got to where I'm at. Have I scored a touchdown? No, but I'm gaining ground, right?
Okay.
And in this game, it ain't about touchdowns because Christ had already won
Come
for
on.
us. The victory is ours.
Come on.
So it's just a matter of making positive grounds, making positive marks, and that's how I got to where I'm at, and I'm just looking forward to where I'm getting ready to go.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Amy, Pastor Amy.
Well, I've been able to overcome by nothing but the grace of God.
Praise God.
That's it. That's all. Like Jamila, my grandparents had 7 children. The 7 children had children. So when we look at it with back then, it was like 15 of us, cousins.
Deep.
And I had an uncle and an auntie who were like our brothers and sisters because they were the babies and they were just a couple of years older than us. So we were like a little mini gang within ourselves. So if it had to come down to a fight, we was gonna fight. If it was girls or guys, we had somebody for everybody, and that's how it was. So the 3 oldest of us, we pretty much kind of was the head, and everybody kind of moved the way we moved. And we all were in church, but unfortunately, after the benediction, when church was over, we went and we was dealing with a whole lot of foolishness and mayhem. I just found out not too long ago that Pastor Shamar, 2 of my younger cousins, and they was kicking it tough back in the day. I didn't even know. And I didn't know Shamar for some years now. Didn't know he was running with my family, But like I said, we did a lot. I did a lot. And if it was left up to me, I would have been taken out of this place a long time ago by the foolish mistakes and the ignorance that I chose to do. I didn't have to do anything I've done. I think Pastor Hammock said it earlier. My home life was good. A lot of the stuff I did in my youth, just within the past couple of years, and I just made 45 Saturday. My mom just found out some of the stuff that we was doing as kids within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we had a family and church personality, but then we had a away from home in the streets personality, and the two never came together, other than those of us who was out there hanging. So the Lord, that scripture, raise up a child in the way they should go. And when they get old, they won't depart. Yeah, that's a literal statement for me, because I was always raised in the church. I made the choice, but that foundation was there, and I always knew where I was at and where to go. I always knew how to talk to the Lord. I always knew what I should be doing, even though I made the choice to do the opposite. And when I left the Bay Area and moved down to Southern California for school, and that's where I really became a man, because at that point I was away from my family, so it was just me surviving, and that's where I really matured within myself, and I came back and kind of did what I was doing on another level then, but again, we were still had the foundation of the church, and the Lord brought me through, and I ran from preaching. I ran from pastoring for years. I didn't want to do it because I felt that was just too much responsibility for me. I didn't want to have that responsibility of people's lives and souls, but after a while, I couldn't run anymore. And I had to face the music, and I started preaching. And then, like I said, 3 years ago, I started pastoring, and it's been difficult. It's been new because, every now and then Tim wants to lead and pastor
It's funny.
ready to take a back seat and Tim ready to step forward. You know, but I thank God that we've been able to be an example. So now some of my buddies who we used to run the streets with, they respect me as pastor, especially now during this time where we're all virtual in our worship. So I have guys who I was standing on the block with. I have guys who I went to college and high school with. I have guys who we've done so much craziness together now on my live stream every week, praising God with me and calling me their pastor. You know, I don't know if some of y'all heard a young girl last week, like 16 years old, was killed in Oakland. That's one of my best friend's daughter. I've known that girl all her life. Now I talk to them. Now I got to get ready to eulogize this young girl, and it's tough. It's hard, but again, with the resilience, with the grace of God, we can overcome. And I appreciate the fact that I'm even in this position to offer some encouragement in a spiritual manner to guys who we were encouraging each other in a street environment.
Right.
So now they come to me for advice and counsel on a spiritual level, and now it's starting to just now make sense why God brought me through everything He brought me through up to this point. Because now I have to be a voice for these guys, and I'm grateful that they look up to me and respect me enough to know that I'm gonna keep it real with you, you know, and that's one thing. I think I'm transparent to a fault sometimes, because it's kind of what you see is what you get, and I'm just glad that the Lord is able to use me to draw others closer to Him. And I think in this season that we're in, that's the main thing every one of us have to focus on. Every church, every pastor, preacher, every minister, every believer, we're all in the same boat now. And if we're not focusing on reaching out to those who are lost and drawing lost souls to Christ, we are sadly mistaken.
Okay, you going to church now, Tim? You going to church? Going to church?
Hey, you called me on. So, and let me just say this, and I'm gonna stop because I know I'm a few years older than Pastor Shamar and Pastor Hammock. I just want to say that I appreciate what you two are doing for the kingdom. I appreciate, because you all are doing it the right way. And you are definitely this season. If we don't tap into our millennials and what's the Generation Z or X or whatever they call right now, what we're dealing with, we gonna lose as the church,
man.
And I believe you all have the heartbeat of what's necessary in this season to advance the kingdom. You know, traditionalism in the church is dead. And December 31st of 2019 was the last time we've ever done church the way we've done it before, and it'll never happen like that again. And if we don't get a grip and get serious about this thing and really focus on evangelizing and discipling believers, we're gonna lose. Period, point blank and simple. But all grace to God, and we thank God for just allowing us to have a voice. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be a part. And I'm glad, after all the dirt that I've shown you in my life, that you're still able to find some positivity to invite me to a forum like this. And I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed myself tonight.
It's all good. It's all good. And then we got Dion here. You know, all this. Dion taught me all this, the StreamYard and all of this stuff. This is what she does. You know, like if there's any pastors out there that need support and everything with the stuff like, you know, that Dion, I want to hear from you. I just want to hear from you.
I'm going to say this as quickly as I can, just for the sake of time. Two things. The first one is I grew up in church, and then I found out that I needed Christ.
Right.
That was the difference.
Right.
So the problem that I think that we all probably faced, I was a church girl. I gravitated toward church because I loved the music. I loved the energy. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the family because I didn't see that. I was super nosy. I loved to watch, right? I got a little voyeur to me. And so for me, I will never forget the day I met Newton Carey. I'm going to always shout this man out. Newton Carey Jr. And he became not just my pastor, but he became the father that I didn't realize I hadn't had in my entire life. I was 23 years old. And I had been in church. Church was my safety, for real. Church was my safe net. I knew how to sing. I knew how to teach the music. I knew how to do all of that. But I didn't have relationship. And I will never forget the demonstration of two separate balloons. One was filled with natural air. The other was filled with helium. He held those two balloons together. He let them both go at the same time. And one rose and one fell. I got up out of my seat. I ran to the front. Can you teach me how to stay up? I just want to stay up. I don't know what that is. I grew up in Baptist church. We don't talk about the power of the Holy Ghost. We don't talk about the reality that we need the Holy Ghost to live. That's not a conversation. We do church well. We sing cute. That's all good. We shout, we dance, and we go outside of the church, and we are still everything we were before we got there. I wanted to be different. And I remember, and that was just the beginning of my journey. But that man revolutionized my life, and he would take me to breakfast every day. He told me, he said, if you want to learn how to live, he said, you got to learn how to pray. And so I would get my behind up at 5:30 in the morning and travel to West Oakland to True Vine Bible Institute. And it wasn't nothing but old people there. And I would get on my knees when they would get on their knees, and he would write the scriptures. He said, you pray the word. You don't talk about your emotions. You don't talk about your feelings, because don't none of that matter. You pray the word of God, and it will manifest the truth of God's word in your life. And I began at 23 years old. Every single morning I got up, and get this, the day before I gave my life to Christ for real, it was the first time I was intimate. This real transparent, y'all. First time I had sex in probably like 18 months. Found out I was pregnant. I was going to get an abortion. I told the man I was going to get an abortion. He said, no, you're not. You're going to come here every day, and you're going to pray until you can't come here no more and get up and down off the floor. And you're going to carry that baby. You're going to have that baby. You're going to love that baby. And to date, that baby takes very good care of me. And so when I think about, for real, the lessons that I learned, and when I got introduced to Jesus, not church wasn't good enough. So I always get put out. Because I'm the one to break all the rules. My pants don't have nothing to do with my heart. I don't care if I got this eyebrow ring in. I'm a little bougie. I'm a little, a little hood with it. But I love Jesus. And this is the thing that changes lives. It's not me. It's the Holy Ghost. It's the power of the Holy Spirit dwelling on the inside of you that gives you power and authority. That's what changed my life, is being introduced to the Holy Spirit. So technically, he came and got me. I ain't gonna get him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, drop the mic. Okay.
And now on to him who was able.
Yes.
Listen, because if you knew where I was headed, look, if you knew where I was headed, because she was on her way down there. She was on her way down the street, and that's good old. And listen, don't get it twisted. I was a ruckus until I wasn't. Right. But if he hadn't taught me how to pray, right, and he would only let me go so far. See, everybody else could do whatever they want to do. He'd catch me. He'd be like, yeah, no, come on back. Right. I was the one that came up with the plans that got everybody sent to the pen. I wasn't doing it. I could tell you what to do, but I'm not executing that. Sweet cakes, I'm scared to death of Jesus, and hell, I ain't going. And so I would tell folks what to do, but I promise you, it was the Holy Spirit that kept me. Even when I got beside myself, even when I did too much, there would always be that thing, that knowing, that thing down on the inside of me that kept pulling me right back to not church, forget church. And when I got to church, and it wasn't like, man, ain't nobody got no power. Nobody. We just gonna sing and go home. That's what we doing. I'm tired of that. That's whack. No, thank you. I don't want it.
Go on, Smoke. Go on, Pastor.
I don't need to say nothing. That was great. Man, like if you're listening right now and you heard that and you're not moved in some kind of way, man, I'm praying that y'all move closer with God. as our sister said, it ain't about the church. It's about having a relationship with Christ. Man, how did I get to this point in my life? I'll just let me be brief. So I would say a Damascus experience like Saul had, right? A Damascus Road type of experience to where it was a point in my life where I was extremely in a toxic, dark place in my life, doing everything I had no business doing, fighting every week. And I'm talking about this is college now, y'all. This is college. Fighting every week, having sex with so many women, most of the time unprotected, and all kind of stuff I was doing, drinking out of my mind. Very dark place, y'all, until I was at a nightclub one night, and of course, a whole bunch of people there. I'm on the balcony of the nightclub all by myself. Now, how does that happen? Came there with a whole bunch of homeboys, whole bunch of people at the club, and I'm on the balcony by myself. That just doesn't happen like that. Anyways, I'm on the balcony, and I hear the voice of God clearly telling me, I better change my life right now before it's too late. This Saturday night, I'm off Hennessy. That was my drink. I'm drunk. You know, that's a Saturday night. The next day was a Sunday. I knew a church because my track teammate, I ran track at Fresno State. One of my track teammates was the youth pastor. Always tried to get us to go to church. I knew what his church was. Went to that church on a Sunday, gave my life to God, and I have not been the same since. And I really feel like God had me on an accelerated course. That was July 2005. And I feel like God had me on an accelerated course from where I was started serving as a pastor, started teaching men's ministry, and things just started to happen real fast for me. And then we started to do this study on Nehemiah, y'all. Nehemiah going back to Jerusalem, helping to rebuild the walls. Now, here I am in Fresno from Oakland. I'm getting all the news reports about how many people got killed and people I grew up with. And I said, man, God, I'm feeling this urge right now to get into ministry, and not only get into ministry, but to go home and start my own church to help rebuild the walls of justice, walls of love, walls of compassion, walls of community, right? And it was in that moment where I was like, you know, babe, let's just do this. Let's do this. Let's get up out of Fresno. Let's go home. And we started New Life Community Church, y'all. And that's how I got here today, to help rebuild my community. No, I will not do it by myself. But if I can connect with other people who are doing the work, we can make a huge impact together with all of us doing our little part. So that's how I got to this place, y'all.
Okay, which is important, that collaboration and partnership, that stuff. It's important. Go on, Pastor Moore.
You know, oftentimes people say like they did not want to pastor. I didn't want to preach. I didn't want to preach. I do not come from a family of preachers. You know, the only person I knew that really went to church was my grandmother. Always in church, but similar to what Dion said, church wasn't in me, or should I say this, my relationship wasn't strong. And so the only thing that kept me going to church, meaning no matter what I did on Saturday night, no matter what I drank, no matter who I slept with, I knew I had to play the drums. That is what my dedication was. Mm-hmm. That is exactly what my dedication was. It wasn't to Christ. It was just, I had a passion to play the drums. I signed up for it, so I was going to be loyal to it. In the midst of that, man, I always tell people this. My relationship started to form not so much on Sunday, but out of my conviction of what I was doing on Saturday and Friday. Mm. So I'm on my way to do things. I'm in the car getting ready. You know, you ever get in the car and the last thing you was listening to maybe on Sunday was never would have made it. Then you get in, you forget that was the last song. You're trying to change it because it's gonna mess up the mood. You know, all that. And I always tell people this, I'll never forget. This is how I know my relationship started to grow more and more with Christ. My conviction got stronger. And so when I'm renting out the hotel rooms, I'm feeling like I'm still doing what I want, but God is sitting there like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till you're done, and you're not gonna be able to even enjoy it as much as you thought. So I'm walking out. I'm running home like I need to read my word. And you know, as I knew God started to call me and preach, I didn't want to preach because I still knew what I love so much. I love more of it than him. And so I was like, God, come get me when I'm 40 and 50. I got a list of things that I'm still trying to do. I don't want to be sneaking around. I don't want to do it. It's very clear. And before you know it, I'll never forget the last semester of college, about 21, 22. I had said every Sunday I was going to tell my pastor, but every time something would happen, I couldn't even wait. So I had to call him Saturday. I'm bawling. And if I wait till Sunday, I'm not going to tell you. So, I want to accept my calling. Fast forward to that, I never desired to so much pastor. I always tell people this, born and raised from Providence, and I come from a place where right now still Bishop Cos is still there. He gave me opportunities. He opened up his pulpit for me. So I never started a church out of because I wanted to do my own thing. I was a faithful, what I call learner. I love to soak up game. And so I knew not that I was just called the pastor, but I always tell people this: there's two callings in my opinion. Called the pastor, but then called the plant. Those are two different things, right?
Man, absolutely.
You really have to be called to plant.
Man.
And when we started here in Vallejo, and I always tell people this story. When we found our house in Vallejo, we was not looking in Vallejo. We was still looking to stay in Contra Costa County. Well, come to find out, they had this house under the wrong county. So people that was looking to stay in Vallejo would have never found this house. So that's how we end up moving out here. People want to believe like, oh, y'all intentionally move out here because you would go plant a church. No. We moved out here because everybody was outbidding us over there across the bridge. And by the grace of God, we found something over here. And, fast forward to 2016, fresh start. We planted Fresh Start. And I tell people to this day, I never was asked, I never prayed to God to call me to preach. And Lord forbid, I was mad at him when he called me to pastor. And literally, I was in depression for 3 months. And let me just tell somebody this. I was in depression for 3 months, really because it hurt my heart, because I'm a loyalist by default. And so when God is calling me to do something, all I start thinking about is, Lord, that means I have to leave a place that, truth be told, that's all I've known. And, once I ride with you, I'm going to ride with you. We go to jail. We're going to go to jail together, but I'm going to fight you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to talk about you, but I'm going to ride it out. And I think from there, it also taught me resilience because I had to really completely follow God, even when other people didn't hear him for me. I think that's very key. And I want to say this, Jamila, and to everybody on here, when your life is so used to getting it out the mud, you never stop and realize that you're resilient because you do it so often. It's almost like a part of life. Somebody has to tell you that you're resilient. So even when you ask me to be on here to talk about resilience, I'm like, what have I been resilient to? But really overall, it's I haven't stopped to say, hey, I have been through some stuff.
Ain't that a trip?
And through the power of God, through the power of the Holy Spirit, through the power of God, I always say this, it was nobody but God. And it's nobody but God that's keeping me right now.
Yep. I guess I could close it. I just want to thank y'all again for joining us. I'm sure people got so much tonight. Resilience is important. There are like protective factors and everything, having concrete support in time of need. I believe that the church, having somebody, just having somebody you could talk to. I could call every last one of y'all and y'all will answer for me. I know I could call all y'all to pray for me, to have somebody to contact, to be able to be there for you and to pray for you and give you some words of encouragement. And even praying for yourself, just like Dion said, that it's important. A relationship with God is important. That spiritual piece is so important, so important. People gotta try God. Gotta try God. We don't have to be perfect. We surviving. We need to keep thriving. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. And I appreciate all of you guys for coming on. Truck, you was about to say something?
I just wanted to ask Shamar, because my phone broke up all I caught was that ending part where you said you had to hear for yourself when other people couldn't, and it broke up in the beginning. I couldn't.
So what I was getting to was when I knew God had called me, I had to be sure of his voice, even though other people didn't hear what I heard. Right?
Gotcha.
And it goes back. It goes back to Peter, right? When Jesus is walking on the water, and Peter asks, "Can he come?" And he says, "Peter, come," but he didn't tell anybody else, right? So it's the same thing. Nobody else may have done it, but I still had to do it, even though I knew I heard his voice, but nobody else did for me.
Yeah, and I asked you that, man, to repeat that, because when COVID hit, Doc, I think I was introduced. No, I know I was introduced to what my purpose is. I'm David by personality, but I'm Andrew by way of purpose. I'm a connector, man, and what I've been doing since COVID, Doc, is introducing the unchurched, because that's where I come from, to the church, right?
Yeah.
In a very unorthodox way. I haven't preached, just real quick, man, and I thank you, because what you said just spoke to me, because I have a lot of church folk saying that I do a lot of stuff for show, and I do like to show it, right? But I like to show it because Christ needs to become more contagious, and 95% of the help that I get is unchurched.
Right.
The donations that I get are from people who want to be a part of something, right? Be a part of the church, but don't know how to actually be a part, right? And so I have to deal with the church, and I also have to deal with the unchurched, because I had a guy say to me, like, "Man, I can't fool with the church, but I can fool with you."
Yeah.
And I laughed, right? And he said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Man, it's impossible to break up the two, because I am the church." You know what I'm saying? And I had to help him to understand, you don't have an issue with Jesus, you have an issue with church. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just somebody that's trying to help you to understand that dude love that Jesus love is for everybody, you know. And when you said that, man, like this been a wild ride for me. But the only thing that's been keeping me is when I pray about what it is that need to be done for the community, and I put the request out, I put it in motion, it come together. You know what I'm saying? And it come together from people I don't even know. It comes together. There's relationships that's been established all over this country for me, due to what I've been trying to get off the ground in reference to this pantry I'm starting in my mom's name, right? So in what you just said, man, I really appreciate that, because that is a part of resilience. Regardless of what the crowd is heckling, all of the noise the crowd is making, you still have to stay focused so that you can execute the plan. Appreciate you, man. I thank you for that.
No problem.
Guys on Jesus.
You know, Chuck, as I hear you saying that, man, and I see the work that you do, I think it's important for all of us, and especially the viewers online right now, just to appreciate the fact that you are enough. Like the gift, the burden, the calling that God has given you specifically, that's enough, y'all. That's enough. That's enough, right? So it doesn't matter if I am someone who braids hair. It doesn't matter if I'm someone who makes clothes, right? Whatever lane God has given me to make an impact, I'm good right there. I don't have to compare myself to anyone else. I can simply do and be who God called me to be.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that's an amazing word from you, Pastor Chuck, that you are enough, man.
Yes, sir.
You are enough. And
we have, I'm sorry to interrupt, we have to remember that's the goal of the church. We should be reaching the unchurched. Historically, we have spent too much time trying to re-save people who claim they already saved. That's been historically the problem. And during this COVID, man, do what you're doing, because that's what the kingdom needs.
Yep.
I think all this problem in the world is the result of the church being disobedient to God. Period.
Tim, I've been wearing Jordans to funerals for 2 years, Doc. If I got to wear that collar, I got to give them something to relate to. My people
That's
don't know
it.
what a collar is. They don't know what
That's
that
it.
means. But they
That's it.
understand them black Jordans, though.
Do what you need to do, man.
we gonna connect somehow,
That's
some
it.
way, Doc.
As long as you get them to Jesus,
man, listen,
that's what's important. Everything else is backseat.
This was great, man. I thank y'all for allowing me to be a part.
Thank you. Thank every one of y'all. I know it's time for dinner and stuff. My head hurting. I need to eat. It's time to eat. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming on. I'm sure everybody, all the viewers, got a lot tonight. I need to, we have to keep these conversations going. I have to do this. It has to keep going. So, so look forward to the next discussion, you guys, next month. I will put out a date and time, and it's going to be some more amazing people. I got to keep it amazing. Amazing.
Thanks so much, Jamila.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamila. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you, Truck and Tim.
It's a pleasure.
Look, Pastor Truck.
All right, fellas.
Likewise.
Thank you, guys.
Hold on, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you end it?
No, I'm not ending anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm not to end anything. We talking. We have.
Oh, look, you play too much. Don't play with me.
Ain't nobody's going anywhere.
Can I say this while we're still on? So
yes.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to tell you publicly how proud I am of you.
Aww.
And how proud I am of your persistence, of your diligence, of saying, okay, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to do it. How proud I am of you trusting what's down on the inside of you to put yourself in a position. You're going to cry anyway because you're a cry baby. But to go through the step of doing this, of hosting your own situation, your own scenario, and taking all of the things that you have learned, putting them together, not sleeping on it, but moving into your purpose and your passion, because it's what you're called to do, Jamila. So I just wanted to applaud you and tell you I am extremely, extremely, extremely proud, and keep going. Because what we know, if we know nothing else, you win if you don't quit. And so this is your keep going. That's it. And look, can you even see? I can't. My camera, and I'm not. Y'all know I'm not gonna. I got on my Empower Her T-shirt. Oh, Lady Anderson, huh?
Oh, okay, that's good. That's cute. I saw that.
T-shirt today, and so I'm super excited. I got to go take my selfie and post it for her. But I really, truly, I thank God for your obedience. The panel was amazing. The conversation was great, and I'm so looking forward to what God is going to do. And I took some classes today, so wait till I teach you this stuff.
Okay.
It's about to be a thing, honey.
I appreciate you, and I want everybody to know how much I love you. Ooh, if I could sing, girl, if I could sing.
So silly.
But I appreciate you for always pushing me. You always push me. Oh, you be on me. Oh my gosh. And that's a good thing though. And I know when I be like, you was on my head. No, that's like, that's okay. Like people need more people like you in their lives, to be able to trust somebody that's going to keep it real with them, who's going to be transparent with them. That, if it was me like 2-3 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to handle it. But girl, this skin done got tougher and thicker. What you want to say? Tell me. I could take it.
Because you need it to be resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't. So I'm gonna say this, and then we going because I got business.
I don't want to go.
You know what? You have to have thick skin, right?
Yep.
And emotions will make a mess of everything. Your emotions will play you out of your destiny every single time. And one of the greatest lessons I think that I've learned, not just as a believer, but as a woman and as a person, is not to take everything personal, because everything ain't personal. Some things are purposeful. Some things are necessary and par for the course, right? And when you learn how to take a hit, shake that thing off and keep it moving, it keeps you from getting bitter. Instead, you get better and your skin gets tougher and you're able to move forward. And so for somebody that's watching, God has something down on the inside of you. This was just a conversation that Jamila and I had. She started talking about what she wanted to do. Well, what you waiting for? Who you waiting on to do it for you? If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. You got to do it. You got to make the steps. And so I want to say that to somebody that's watching today. There's somebody that's waiting on you to put together that purposed thing on the inside of you, because it blesses somebody. So don't be afraid to fail forward. Don't be afraid to fumble. Just remember that recovery happens. And when you recover it, you recover well, right? That's all. So I love you and thank you again for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
Okay, I love you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.